Okay, welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Even though we're 20 days into the new year, 19 days, whatever it is. So good to see everybody. I'd like to call the January 19th, 2021 board meeting to order. This meeting of the Sugar Grove Village Board will be held as outlined in Public Act 101-0640, which waives the Open Meetings Act requirement that a physical quorum of elected officials be present to hold a public meeting in the event of a public health disaster declaration and a determination by the village president. Governor Pritzker issued a statewide disaster declaration on January 19th, and in response, Shawn Michaels determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent at this time. With that said, Rick, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, God, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rick. Can we just have a quick moment of silence? A lot of communities are shutting off their lights for 10 minutes to recognize the fact that a year ago today was the first COVID test, or first person who was tested positive, and a lot of communities are shutting off their lights, reflecting, and then turning on the lights after 10 minutes to show that we're moving forward in this pandemic. So just a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you very much. Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Cook?
Here.
Trustee Heron?
Here.
Trustee Montalto?
Here.
Trustee Conan?
Here.
Trustee Lendy?
Here.
Trustee Walter?
Here.
President Michaels?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. We have one person here in attendance at the Village Hall. Okay. And then it doesn't look like we have anybody attending on the phone system. Correct, Allison?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's no one attending who online. There may be someone listening on the phone that we don't know about, but no one has signed up or no one has attended so they could speak.
Okay. Any public hearings? Were there any letters to the board through email?
One moment, and I will check. Oh no, there weren't. I did check. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
There were none in there.
I'll open the floor to the member in attendance. Do you have any public? No. Okay. And the member in the audience has nothing to address. I will call out, just for the record's sake, any comments, any public comments on items scheduled for action. Under tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes, approval of the vouchers, approval of the treasurer's report, ordinance for amending the solar energy provisions, ordinance amending the electric regulations, ordinance amending adjudication proceedings, ordinance amending swimming pools and spas, resolution adopting the 2021 zoning map, resolution for 2021 motor fuel tax program and local road program, resolution authorizing an agreement with IDOT for the 2021 motor fuel tax and local road program. And under discussion items, we'll talk next site research, computer system data storage, and liquor license renewal. Any public comments? Okay, hearing none, close that portion. May I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Trustee Heron. Any request to remove an item from the consent agenda? Going once, going twice. Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy,
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Discussion items, next site, research, marketing, and consulting. Walter with us on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Walter provided a memo, and we have Charles Branch with next item to answer any questions. Walter, go ahead.
Okay. As the board knows, we've had the position of Economic Development Coordinator vacant for the better part of a year now, and staff has been evaluating options for either filling the position or some other alternative to accomplish the same objective of that position. And one of the things that we looked at was a retail recruitment firm. And as I indicated in the board report, there are a number of them that operate throughout the country, and but for whatever reason, they're not very active in Illinois. And about the same time that we were, recently, as we were coming to our conclusion that we should hire a retail recruitment firm to get involved with recruiting businesses for Sugar Grove, NICOR entered into an agreement with Nextsite, and Nextsite was one of the firms that we had identified. And so basically, we have the ability to use the services of Nextsite at a reduced rate because we're within NICOR's service area, and they have this agreement with Nextsite to provide these services to their municipal clients. So we contacted Nextsite, and Brent and I had lengthy conversations with Charles Branch from Nextsite, and we also contacted the references they provided. And we've got, as you would imagine, people are satisfied with the services that Nextsite's providing. But one of the things I want to point out in a couple of the communities I talked to, Nextsite is not their first go-around. They've used other retail recruitment firms in the past, and to make a long story short, they've been much more satisfied with the effort that Nextsite's provided their respective communities than the other firms. And the other thing I'll mention is in my conversations with these communities, the other firms charged considerably more for the services, similar services that Nextsite's providing. The other thing that I mentioned in the board report that all the communities I talked to that use a retail recruiter, what they advised us was if we choose to go the retail recruitment route with a recruiting firm, they said you have to have patience, because if you're expecting a quick hit and immediate results, you're going to be disappointed. The retail recruitment firm spends the early part of their engagement period developing information about the marketplace, as well as contacting various retail and restaurant and other businesses that might be active in the area, or if they're out of the area, maybe considering the area for locations. And that all takes time. And so that was the prevailing word of caution everybody gave me if we're considering to use a retail recruiting firm, whether it's a Nextsite or anybody else. They said you have to have patience. I guess the other thing I should mention, and this is something that a couple of the communities that I talked to also mentioned is that one of the outcomes of using a retail recruitment firm is because of the type of information that they collect and develop, we're going to find out things about our community that we may not know, and we may be disappointed in hearing. And specifically, we may have characteristics that certain retailers aren't interested in, and we may be interested in those retailers. And they said that that is it's reality, but sometimes it's painful for the community to learn some things about businesses that they're pursuing, only to find out that they're not a match. So we need to enter this process with eyes wide open and with the realization that we may get information that may be hurtful for us, hurt our feelings. But in the end, everybody I talked to indicated that the retail recruiters are they're fairly successful in what they do. So we took this information to the Sugar Grove Economic Development Corporation to see if they would support the effort and possibly provide a financial contribution. As you can imagine, they're very supportive of the effort. While they're interested in providing financial support, there is, I guess, I don't know if reluctance is the right word, but there's a hesitancy by the EDC to commit funding without knowing more about what they're going to be funding. So there's a little more work to be done with the EDC to get their financial support. We also looked at the village budget as a possible funding source, and as you well know, we don't have funds sitting around looking for use, and finding another revenue source to offset the expenditure just doesn't exist. So the village's funding from the general fund is limited at best. Another option is the TIF districts. This is a TIF eligible expense, and there are commercial properties that are in one or both of the TIF districts. There are also properties that don't have commercial zoning that might be appropriate for commercial in the TIF district. So it clearly is a TIF eligible expense. So, those are the various funding options. And as I indicated in the board report, one possible way to fund this venture is a combination of all three. What that combination is, that's up to the board if the board so chooses. But I just wanted to give you, what some of the options are, and also the background that we've conducted with NextSite and others, and the favorable responses that we receive from communities that do use retail recruiters.
Charles, could you go into the detail on how the service you provide with the demographics and the data that you collect that you pass on to the retailers?
Sure. So, one, appreciate the opportunity to be here. At NextSite, just a little background, we are a commercial development advisory firm, and we specialize working with cities, villages, economic development organizations, chambers of commerce throughout the Southeast and Midwest. We did partner with Nicor Gas basically at the start of this year, and are very excited about the opportunities throughout Illinois. We're also partnered with Ameren, Illinois, in their southern part of the state. So already working with Greenville, Illinois, and Highland, Illinois through that engagement. Got a couple other communities that are looking at agreements right now as we look to move forward. But looking at the Sugar Grove market, so talking a little bit with your team, we've got something that we use called customer journey analytics. So we're able to basically, with the software that we have, drop a pin on one of your shopping centers or one of your retail establishments, like the Jewel Osco or like the Aldi, And basically what it provides us is information using cell phone data. So it's all anonymized. I can't tell you who it is, phone number, email address, mailing address, anything like that. But it gives us a picture as far as the customers that are traveling to those establishments, how many unique customers, annual, number of visits, how far they come outside the market, and different information that allows us to really develop what the regional trade area is for your market. Because when you look at Sugar Grove to the east, you've got some bigger communities, some robust retail corridors. But I know from the west and probably from the north and the south, you can probably pull from a greater area than what a radius or drive time analysis would provide when providing that information to a developer or a retailer or a restaurant or tenant rep. So we're big believers in identifying what that regional trade area is, getting outside, the village population and all that. What are all these other communities that could use Sugar Grove as their, regular shopping destination, and what other complementary retail and restaurants make sense for your market. So in addition to that demographic analysis that we'll provide with the regional trade area, we also do peer analysis. We've built internally a model that's tracking the fastest 250 retail and restaurant concepts that are expanding across the country. And we'll take peer communities similar to Sugar Grove and match it up with those concepts and see where those concepts show a propensity to locate in similar communities and start building out that retailer and restaurant target list for the community. And then we take it a step further and also internally built a site identification model that we work with the developers when we are connecting them to the market and looking at your community as it relates to those other communities and how certain sites score within the market. So there's a piece of what we do that is data and analytics, but we do think a big piece of what we do is not just providing the information, but connecting those dots to developers, tenant reps, retailers, and restaurants, the decision makers that can move forward on these types of projects, that have the capital, that have the relationships. So it's not just a stack of reports and that we say, good luck, let us know when you need an update, but we're actively marketing and connecting the appropriate real estate contacts to your community.
Great. Thank you. All right. Any questions for staff or Charles on this service? It's for discussion only, and then we can bring it back.
Yeah, I do, Sean. Is there an example report from a similarly sized community as an example of the type of results you've had in the past, Charles?
I've got some sample reports that I'd be happy to share. I know staff has some of our success stories in similar communities that we've worked with and some of the retailers and restaurants. Just to give you an idea, we started our company 5 years ago. The program that we're rolling out through Nicor Gas is similar to other utility type programs that we've run in other states. But over the past 5 years, we've successfully connected and supported about 23 million square feet plus of commercial development projects. We're very focused when it comes to the retail restaurant side. That's what a lot of our analysis dictates and kind of steers us. But talking to your team, talking to staff, understanding what you may be looking for as far as residential, healthcare, hospitality, senior living, assisted living, entertainment, we've got relationships with those developers as well and can connect those types of projects to Sugar Grove too throughout the life of our agreement.
So we can provide those to the board.
Charles, I have a question. This is Jen Conan. When I'm looking through the document that was sent in our board report, I see that a lot of the brands that are successes in markets that you've worked in they're national brands. So I guess my question is, if you're successful in restaurants in particular, I know that in our community there is, from a residential side, the residents are dying for a sit-down kind of restaurant. So I have a couple of questions. First, do you work with local companies as well? Like in our area, it seems like in like Geneva, for example, or Batavia, North Aurora, there's a lot of locally owned restaurants. Do you try to cultivate that at all, or is this strictly a national campaign?
So from our efforts, we're going to be a little bit more on the national and regional concepts, but we want our information used to help local businesses and entrepreneurs. So if there are concepts you're seeing, like you mentioned, in Aurora or some of the other nearby markets where it makes sense for them to have a second or third location within your community, we want to provide that customized research and analysis to the appropriate person and get them connected to your market, have conversations with them of, do they have the capital to develop a new location themselves? Do we need to bring in a developer and it's more of a fee development? Can they backfill an existing location? So again, we're a little bit more focused on the national and regional recruitment, but we do have experience providing our analysis and working with your team to identify those local businesses, those local entrepreneurs, those concepts of nearby communities that would make sense to locate in Sugar Grove as well. Because with the customer journey analytics, the reason why we're having to meet virtually, of course, is we're going through a pandemic. We're tracking the impact the pandemic is having on local entrepreneurs in downtown areas and places as well. And we want that information provided to them to help them with grants, to help them with PPP money, to better understand what the trade area is and who they need to market to as well. So while we may do a lot of recruiting in the national concept, we want to help local businesses and entrepreneurs as best we can as well.
I think that, this is long overdue for our village, and we're grateful to even have this conversation with you. Retail is what the community is looking for. So thank you for presenting to us. But I do have a couple of questions for staff. Just as far as a funding source, I don't know how, Matt, I know was not well, so he's probably not on this call, but as far as the TIF dollars are concerned, my understanding of TIF is that the marketing dollars need to be used when you're marketing TIF property. So obviously my interest is that using Nextsite to market throughout the village, not just TIF property, how do you separate that as far as who pays that bill, if you will, that it's being used on TIF property if we really want, maybe help with the Ron Cope property or another property in Sugar Grove? So this doesn't fully fall, I guess, so this doesn't fully fall on the general fund.
One of the discussions that we had that wasn't clear in the memo is that we're going to ask the EDC to pay the base fee of $15,000, and then the village, and maybe the TIF, pay the success fee. And the nice thing about the success fee is that it's not paid out unless there is a new business that comes in. And with that, we're generating new property tax or new sales tax or both. So the general fund should be able to afford it for, I think it's a 1 to 3 year deal. But or then we could look to the TIF if it is in the TIF. But the initial thought was EDC pays the annual fee for the next 3 years. It's $15,000 versus the $30,000 we were paying Bill Whitmer, and then the general fund paid the success fee.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so you could have a success fee paid out of the TIF if a property is located within the TIF. Is that considered marketing dollars, I guess, if you're paying Nextsite out of the TIF? Okay. Okay.
Anything
well,
else,
I like the idea of using a company like that to gather information and get our village hopefully jump started in the retail arena. That's great.
I think one of the thoughts I had before we met with Charles was that since NICOR was a sponsor of this, that it would be more driven towards commercial or industrial use. But this is really retail oriented, which I think with the southwest corner of 47 and Galena being recently purchased and active developer, I think fits real well with the village right now and can help spur on development where you can still work on commercial and industrial. But we've seen a lot of that property being marketed by the property owners or a commercial real estate agent coming directly to Walter for questions. But for the retail portion, as much as we think we deserve it, we have to go out and prove it to the retailers that we have the demographics to support it. And by working with Next Site, we should be able to do that. Okay. Well, thank you, Charles. Is there any other questions before we let Charles go? If you could send us
if I could ask one quick one, I was curious, where is Next Site Research based out of? Are they local in the Midwest or?
We're based out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay. But because you market, you said Southeast and Midwest, you're familiar, obviously, with the stores that would be here, because stores we have are not all over the country, obviously.
Correct. And a lot of the developers that we've worked with in the past and have already been connecting to communities that we work with in Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, they've done projects within the Illinois footprint. They've got relationships with the tenant reps. We've got relationships with developers out of St. Louis and Chicago and Indianapolis and all that. So we're comfortable, from day one that we've got people to connect to the Sugar Grove market as we continue to put the research together and move forward on opportunities.
Good.
Okay. We'll work on the funding mechanism a little bit better for the next meeting when we approve it, so everybody can see what's being proposed. Okay. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, next is the computer system data storage replacement. Matt's not here, so I don't know if we can move forward with it or if there's any general questions that we could ask Brent to convey to Walter or to Matt.
Allison, was Jeremy able to join us tonight? I don't know if he's on the call. Jeremy being the village's IT consultant.
No, he's not on the call. Right.
Yeah, I don't know who IP is on the attendees list, but I guess if it was Jeremy, he could raise his hand. But yeah, I think and Allison, you certainly feel free to assist in any way. But yeah, I think the board report was relatively self-explanatory that our system, needed to be expanded and it's no longer supported. So I hate to characterize this as you kind of don't have a choice, but my impression is we really don't have a choice. So I would suggest, if anything, that if you would be okay with it, we put it on next general business and have either Matt and or Jeremy here so they can answer any questions, but with the idea being that they'll provide satisfactory answers so it could get approved at next meeting.
I didn't have any questions. It does seem like it's necessary.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Does anybody have a question, or if you would, email Matt. He's currently out of the office. Okay. Next is liquor license renewal. Brent or Allison?
Yeah, I can take that one. Yeah, again, hopefully most of the information you'd like was in the board report. Certainly the pandemic has had a negative impact on a lot of businesses. And the idea has come up here and as well as in other communities as to, what can municipalities do to assist businesses and in particular, liquor license holders, knowing that, with the restrictions that, restaurants and bars have been, for the most part, significantly impacted in the idea of waiving, part or all of the liquor license fees in an effort to assist these businesses. The village, has limited information, and I think appropriately so, on the financial situation of the business community. What we do have access to is sales tax information. So, within limits, we can determine based on sales tax receipts, how businesses are doing. I think it's accurate and fair to say that the retailers that sell that have packaged liquor licenses, if we just look at the sales tax data available to us, a year-to-year analysis, that their sales are, above previous year. Some cases, just a small amount. In some other cases, a larger amount. We don't have the ability to track exactly, where those sales come from, how much of it is liquor versus other items. But we can do that year-to-year analysis and determine that, for those particular businesses, and I believe there's 4 of them village-wide, their sales are up. But the other license holders, restaurants, taverns or bars or whatever the categories are, generally speaking, pretty much without exception, their sales are down, which is not shocking given the restrictions. The golf course private license doesn't produce sales tax to the village, so we don't have any measurement there at all. Beyond that, we don't have the ability, and I'm not suggesting we should, to know if any of these businesses got, PPP loans or something like that. We also don't know with the businesses that are having increased sales if they've had increased expenses as well, and likely they have. So just because their revenues are higher doesn't mean that the pandemic hasn't had an impact on them, from, whether it's, staffing issues or procedures or improvements they've had to make to their business to address it. It's really something we can't give a true, accurate financial picture. And the other thing we can't measure is the non-financial value of just showing the village support. So that's another factor to consider. I have to apologize. I don't have it open on my screen right now, but I think the board report, I know it showed what the lost revenue, if you will, to the village, is if you do waive any or all of this. I think, it's fair to say, while, just like everybody, every dollar matters to the village. I can't in any way say that it would have a significant impact on our operations next year. Should the board waive any or all the fees, and even though it's a different fiscal year, we do anticipate ending this year with a pretty significant general fund surplus.
I guess one of the thoughts I had in reviewing we don't have it numbered, but it shows the different classes and annual fees, is to consider waiving the fees for Class D club license, Class E restaurant, Class G golf course, and Class L restaurant and tavern. And if I did my math correctly, that would be $6,400 in annual fees. The memo is pretty broad. It says it could be from $0 to $17,950. But those seem to be the ones that have been impacted the most. Packet liquor and tasting permits seem to be doing okay.
Yeah, the one caveat, and this is where it gets difficult for us to measure, is that if we just look at pure sales tax within the packaged liquor category, the fuel stations sales tax receipts are down. And again, we really can't break down where those dollars come from, but they do hold packaged liquor licenses. But like I say, the total sales tax collected for those particular entities, generally speaking, are down. So
yeah, that could just be lack of sales of gasoline that has driven down their sales tax.
I think it's hard to quantify what someone's feeling when we really don't have any knowledge as to their business. I mean, I heard Sean say the golf course, and yes, the golf courses were closed, I think, until May, third week of May, which significantly impacted business. But then the golf courses were open. I think that $900 under G, correct me if I'm wrong, that represents like on-course sales. So if you have a beverage cart running, golf courses were up in revenue, their businesses were up. I just know that because that happens to be our business or my husband's business, but I don't know how truly affected they were on golf course sales. I would actually propose.
Jen, I think I think golf course, at least open range, was hurt because they didn't have the outings that normally occurred because of COVID restrictions. But anyways, I just wanted to make that.
And that's probably true, but I think that you had more people actually take to the game of golf this year because there was nothing else to do. And golf course rounds are up nationwide in COVID, and it's almost like it's rejuvenated the business. Now, I can't speak to their business and whether they are down significantly in liquor sales on their golf course, but we also can't attest to Rich Harvest Farms at $2,400 a year they pay. A lot of, right when this pandemic started, corporate memberships were dropping off. Like people were flipping out, and the first thing they could cut was something like a membership. So without being able to delve into everyone's business, I would be a proponent of doing half dues or half liquor license for village-wide for 2021. I think that that's, again, it's how do we really truly get into this and assess everyone's business? And we do know restaurants were closed, and therefore those businesses were not able to operate. But again, it's almost to say that someone else didn't have a hardship. And I have a hard time deciphering through these liquor licenses who's deserving and who's not. So as a general practice, if you can't figure it out, I think that it's be fair and equitable to go half dues on all liquor licenses.
Okay.
You would suggest that on retail, in your opinion, Jen?
I would. I mean, I think that the spike in, as we all know, who shop in Sugar Grove, and I hope you all do, there wasn't food on the shelves in Sugar Grove. I think that the spike in retail that you're seeing is also the fact that people were coming in and buying product. I mean, there were times I'd go down the grocery store aisle and there was no food. So, we can't really just say that's just liquor and their liquor sales are up. I think just in general, food sales were up and they couldn't keep up with demand. Our grocery stores were sold out. I mean, it's until recently, just think about it. A month ago, they're still talking about paper towels being an issue. So I understand what you're saying. I just don't know how you go through this. And then as a village and everyone's paying taxes and their fees, then who's going to feel slighted because we don't truly know their business? That's just my opinion. I look to all of you to weigh in on this one for sure.
Well, if I could kick in, I think that that's actually not a bad idea. We don't want anyone to say, well, these are the people you're taking care of, but you're not taking care of us. And if we're going to do it equitably, I'm not sure if it's 50% or what the percentage is, but maybe if we cut a percentage off of everybody across the board, that way there's no allegations that we're favoring some licensees over other licensees. And we could still maybe figure out the same kind of dollar amount that Sean's talking about.
Yeah, I was going with the ones I identified because they were actually closed for a certain portion of the pandemic, where the packaged liquor was not closed, I don't think, at all. So
yeah, I get that, but we've also got restaurants who are open in violation of what the state's saying closed, and they're still selling and they're packed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but I went by one of the other, and there was it didn't look like there was a spot left in a lot to park.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that within that packaged liquor, again, without knowing the breakdown of where the sales are generated, the fuel stations, across the board, are taking a pretty significant hit. And conversation I had months ago with one of the operators said that not only, it makes sense. They said, people aren't driving as much because a lot of people are working from home, or, when they go, they're not going out as much as usual. So not only are fuel sales down, they're not seeing the traffic, inside the convenience store that they typically would. So, and that's where it gets tricky, to say, well, I thought originally, gee, it'll be easy. We'll do it by categories. But then when we started looking at the number, as soon as we looked at Class B packaged liquor, it was like, oh, well, one size doesn't fit all, even within that category.
Okay.
I think the only ones who actually benefited from this are the grocery stores. and it's because people were hoarding stuff. And whether it be liquor or other items, I think the grocery stores did very well through the pandemic. But you can't separate them from places like the gas stations that sell liquor, because I know, they have to be hurting it, maybe not from the liquor so much, because I don't know anyone, and I don't know how to phrase this properly, but just about everyone I've talked to has said they've had a lot more to drink this past year than they have in the past, because they're drinking at home instead of going out. It's much cheaper. So that I would say that the packaged liquor is doing very well, but the gas is way down. So maybe as a trade-off to help, gas stations like Graham's or Sugar Grove Express or Grove Stop, it would be an olive branch to extend to them too, along with all the restaurants. So I don't know. I think there's something to doing it for everybody. I just don't know what the percentage would be.
I think so
I
too.
agree with that.
I don't know that there's no formula. We have no way of knowing, so we're just speculating on how we feel maybe some of the businesses, which businesses were more affected or less affected. So I think, yeah, Rick or Jen or whoever said, like, if we cut them in half, cut the fees in half or something to provide that olive branch, because we don't know the actual financials of where they are hurting. Maybe it is liquor sales, maybe it's gas sales.
Yeah,
The idea of some sort of a discount.
Yeah, I don't think we can pick and choose locations. I think of what our decision is here is to either give everybody some kind of break or give nobody a break, which is probably not a good thing to do either. But if we want to help our businesses, give them all some kind of break. If we're questioning, okay, how's it going to hurt our finances, or is it going to look like we're favoring specific ones, then nobody gets a break. So I think that's the decision we have to make.
And that's consistent with what Bensonville did as well, as they waived half the fees for all users.
And as we look to recruit new businesses to town, I think this we want to do whatever we can to improve our image as far as being business friendly versus picking and choosing. We want to be overall more business friendly.
The projected number that Matt put in the board report was $17,950, and if we did do it at 50% off, it would be an $8,975 discount versus the number Sean put forward on the classification. So it's not significantly different, even if you did it at the 50% off. It just goes across the board.
That's fine. Okay. We have consensus. We can move forward with this recommendation. Okay. Thank you. All right. Staff report team. Who wants? Tony? You want to start with your staff report?
Okay. The first item that I'd like to bring up is every year there's an annual Kane County Water Association taste test contest. This year, because of COVID-19, it was held virtually, but we were able to drop off samples of our water ahead of time that were given to the judges to conduct the taste test. And the Village of Sugar Grove won the taste test. So that was completed in December. We didn't have a January meeting, so I'm happy to announce that we won the taste test. So even though the meeting was virtually, the water wasn't.
How many villages were in this taste test, Tony?
It's several communities from Kane County. I think this year there were 8 communities total.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Usually Aurora wins it with river water, but the river might have been out. So.
Right. And then we then qualify to compete at the state level when the state conference actually takes place. They're anticipating this year in the fall, obviously depending on where everything is with COVID-19. We'll see how they set that up. We been out also, staff has been trimming parkway trees, repairing street lights. Obviously, we've also taken care of some snow. The issue, though, with frequency is you still use more salt than you do for one large snow, because you go out and treat for 10 1-inch snows, use more salt than 1 10-inch snow, because you wind up salting 10 times for the 10 different events, whereas one large event, you may just salt at the end of it and not use as much. And that's all I have at this point. We are following up. We're working with a vendor on LED streetlight replacement program. We don't have all the information yet. We're trying to get a grant with that in conjunction to the money that we're receiving through the electric program. So more information on that will be coming out hopefully in the spring.
Okay. Walter?
Well, I don't have a taste test to report, but I can tell the board that we are scheduling several meetings with developers of prospective projects in the village. And while I can't divulge, who they are or what they're proposing right now, we hope to be bringing news to you of new developments in the near future.
Good. Okay. I should ask, did anybody have any questions for Tony or any questions for Walter? Okay. Brent and Allison?
Yeah, first I just want to apologize for people who participated in a recent meeting where we had a lot of technical difficulties. It appears, at least tonight, things are working a little bit better. And, with the go-to-meeting approach, in that we have received proposals from a couple consultants, and we do have one that we plan to move forward with. And it's our intent to have a proposal before the board at the next board meeting, hopefully for approval. If that does go forward, they've indicated that at least the audio portion of it, that they should be able to have installed in a 3, 4, 5 week period, with the video, if you will, and the primary on there, on putting monitors in the room for when we do kind of get back together with presentations. That may take a little bit longer, but right now with primarily being go-to-meetings, that should be okay as far as a timetable. And then the second thing, which was in my staff report, just want to mention, for any community members out there, is that President Michaels and I did meet with the President Administrator in Elburn regarding a boundary agreement. I would say it was a good meeting. There wasn't a lot of back and forth. It was primarily us listening to where they're at based on their recent village board discussion. Asked them a few clarification questions and floated a couple ideas, but so I think it's kind of the ball's back in our court, and we're going to kind of we're in the stage right now of trying to determine what's the best way to proceed. But there at least has been a meeting did take place, so I want to make sure everyone's aware.
Okay. I just wanted to ask a question regarding the audio. I think the biggest thing that I miss about our face-to-face meetings is if you do have someone, a public, come in to a meeting, you can make eye contact. They're not obviously there to disclose their name or address, but I think that part is totally missing from our meetings at this point. So we leave it up to President Michaels to tell us if there's someone in the room but we have no idea. It's not engaging the same way. So when you're looking either for quotes, for audio, visual, it would be nice if there was, whether it be a laptop for a public speaker to come in and say something, that they saw all of us and we could see them. I think sometimes you feel like if there's a public comment coming, I don't know, I felt blindsided because I can't see. It's nice to be able to look at them and kind of feel like you're communicating that way. If someone's taking the time to actually show up to our boardroom, I think it would be nice if we could see them. So that could somehow get added into the package. Obviously, the priority is sound, but visual would be nice.
It's taken care of, Jen. We have a laptop here on the podium, and that if somebody is to address the board, I would go on and turn on the screen and turn on the audio so that the board or anybody listening can see and hear the person, because after the election meeting, it was not well handled. And by doing this, we thought we could address the issue of both audio and visual.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and that just to add a little bit more, that is one of the items that we've had extensive discussion on, is trying to find that balance of, installing a system that works well during this virtual meeting stage, but then, carries over into what we presume will be primarily an in-person meeting, but we think there's a reasonable likelihood that even when we go back in person, that the meetings may still be simulcast, if you will, via a GoToMeeting type format or something else. And one of the things that may be a balancing act as we move forward is, if you picture, the 7 of you as well as, staff people, what's the best way, is it individual cameras, like you're seeing now, and how practical is that? Or is it, 2, 3, or 4 cameras in the room that may pick up, half the group or the other half? And then with those cameras, do you get the ones that through software try to zoom in on the person who's speaking or not? So those are some of the items that we're currently exploring. And like I say, I think we're close to having what we think is a responsible recommendation that addresses both, kind of what we're currently doing and what we envision the future being. But that's certainly something. In either case, we do want to have it, whether it's an individual camera or one that kind of shows that part of the room, something that would pick up, an audience member stepping up to the podium.
But in the interim, we have the laptop here to take care of your concern.
Which is exciting.
Okay. Any questions for Brent? Okay. Pat?
Thank you. I wanted to provide a status update on Nixle. As a reminder, the Village of Sugar Grove and the Sugar Grove Fire Protection District partnered in delivering this emergency alert messages to our communities via the Nixle platform. Over the past 30 days, both Chief Perkins and myself were involved in training, setting up the back end of our account nuances with the Nixle representatives. We are now at the stage of training our respective command staffs on how to utilize it. Got our fingers crossed. We need to make sure that they are sending out the messages, not just Bill and I doing it all the time. I know we work long hours, but having someone here 24/7, it's important for that information to get out to the community. Since our 2 agencies cover basically the same geographical boundaries, albeit the Fire Protection District, I believe, covers Montgomery, parts of Aurora, and an unincorporated Sugar Grove. We are developing our initial marketing strategy, our push to getting this message out on a specific service area. So our message of how to sign up might be different than the Sugar Grove Fire Protection District, but at the same time for them, it might be the same, since if it is an incorporated area. So we're doing double duties to make sure that the message is clear. I spoke to Chief Perkins a little bit earlier, and he still has one more battalion chief to train, and I believe he said that should occur, I think it was tomorrow, and then we just have to finish up on the PD side. In addition, we have some work to do on our websites, so we have to push it out. We're looking to put up what's called widgets so that you would see the messages, all emergency alerts that are already when you go to the Village of Sugar Grove website or the Sugar Grove Fire Protection website, past emergency messages and current emergency messages are going to be out there as well. And just for the last time I checked, we have approximately 3,500 individuals in the database. Some of that was people that we purchased a product that allowed us to backfeed some of the known residents in the community into it. But for those of you that are wanting to sign up for Nixle, I hope you join me and encourage me to pull out your smartphones. And if you want to put 888-777 in, and then type the word Sugar Grove, all one word, and hit enter. And that will enroll you in the Village of Sugar Grove portion of the Nixle. And there, when we push out messages for severe weather, criminal alerts, or severe traffic, or other type of community engagement, things that are happening, you'll be enrolled. You're going to get a message or a response back that will also ask you, do you want to include your email address? We encourage you to do that as well.
Pat, where do you put that in? You put it on text or on an email or what?
I'm sorry. Yeah, text 88. You're going to text the word Sugar Grove to 888-777. So 3 8s and 3 7s. And then type the word Sugar Grove in your message field and hit enter.
All together or separate? Does it matter?
888-777 as basically your phone number.
No, I got that.
In the message field, Sugar Grove, one word. Hit enter.
Okay.
Yeah, I put 2 words and it said, you don't know how to spell.
But again, we're hoping, right now it's live. We can send messages out today. But like I said, we're going to have a big push coming up here probably in the next, sometime next week. So we just got to get our website set up. And like I said, Bill and I need to coordinate because we have 2 different geographical areas, how to best serve the residents of those communities. So people in Montgomery don't necessarily need to see the stuff that's happening in Sugar Grove and vice versa. We don't need to be getting stuff that there's a fire down in Montgomery unless you want to sign up for it.
I think we've identified a problem.
Yeah, okay. Mine's not working either.
It auto corrects you. Every time I hit enter, it separates Sugar Grove automatically. Okay. And so then I went back in and got it misspelled, like you can't see it, but then the line comes up. Okay. And even when you send that, I'm waiting now because I've done it a couple times.
It keeps telling me. Say I'm signed up while you guys were all talking. I had no issues whatsoever. So my email address, I'm in.
There's another way of doing it. So go ahead and type in 888-777. Instead of having it autocorrect, put in 60554. Put in the Sugar Grove zip.
You know what? I think what it is, when I started Sugar Grove, it started with a capital letter. I put in small letters all in a row, and it took it.
Mine had a capital and it worked. So what do you know?
Oh, okay. Second time through, mine went. So
it's all tricky, but 60554 should work, hopefully.
I got mine set up.
It went under the zip code. Well, that's good to know to put it out in directions on our Facebook page.
Yeah, well, we'll be pushing everything out here shortly. We just need to finish training our staff and then, get our marketing material up. So,
will we be distributing information on the COVID vaccine and things like that over this?
We could utilize the product for that. So yes, that's once we get a better understanding from the county of what they want us to do, we can definitely push something out to tell them to check the email or check our webpage.
Okay. Was there any other part of your report?
Unless someone else had something else that wanted me to address specifically.
No, I just want to publicly thank you. I know I did it privately, but listen, I turn on to Capitol Drive now between you and Public Works, and I can see the speed limit sign. I don't blow past the first one. So I appreciate the fact that there were additional ones added, and hopefully I wasn't alone in that, and then more people will realize what the speed limit is on Capitol. That's all, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Then trustee reports. Rick?
You know, I don't have anything other than I want to congratulate you and staff for being proactive and fixing the video and sound thing after that meeting we had, the election thing. It's good to hear that was jumped on right away. I know you, before we walked out of the room, you were talking about getting that fixed. So I think that I just congratulate you for that. Tony, the Brewmeister, best by tasting water. We should have like an Oktoberfest this year if we get back to normal for water. Adding, and Walter bringing new people to the village possibly, and just everybody that's doing their job so well. I just think it's great under these circumstances. It's been so hard for everybody, and you guys are all doing a great job. Pat, I don't want to leave you out. Tomorrow's probably going to be very busy for you. So all of you are doing a great job, and it's good to be part of it. So.
Well, thanks. Okay, Heidi?
I don't have anything new to report. Just stay safe, everyone. And hopefully I will have my webcam up for next time. I got one for my desktop, so you'll see my picture next meeting.
Good. Okay. Jen?
No, I echo Rick's sentiments that you all are doing a fabulous job. It's good to hear, Rick. Sean, thank you for addressing the audio, because I did listen into that meeting and it was a disaster. So I think as we all realize that that's a nice success. So that's it. Nothing new to report.
Okay. Sean, here.
Nothing new to report. Same,
And
everything that everybody else has been saying. Same thing. Audio, staff, great job.
Okay, good. Ryan?
Nothing to add, but appreciate Rick's comments, and mine are similar. Thank you. Similar thoughts.
Okay. All right. President's report. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sugar Grove was featured in the Daily Herald on January 6th. Chicago-based coin flip has further expanded into the suburbs with a new cryptocurrency ATM in Sugar Grove. People are able to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies with cash at any coin flip ATM, including the new one at 91 Sugar Lane in Sugar Grove, the company said. So I don't know if you guys have kept up on Bitcoin, but it's like $28,000 a coin right now. So I don't know who's going to be walking in to an ATM with that type of money, but we are unique in that we have an ATM that you can buy cryptocurrencies. So, yeah.
And don't forget your password.
Yeah. Did you hear about the guy in England? He lost his hard drive 7 years ago, and it's got $280 million worth of Bitcoin.
And he's only got 2 more tries to try.
Oh, yeah. And he's coming back to the municipality to help him find the hard drive in the dump. Oh, man. Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. Okay, well, Brent?
Just real quick, it looks like Jeremy, our IT consultant, has joined the meeting. Not that I'm anticipating any questions, but since we have him here, were there any questions on the data storage replacement? If not, that's okay. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity. So,
okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy. There's no need to go to a closed session?
No.
All right. Well,
Hey, Sean.
Big day tomorrow.
Sean, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for sending that email earlier, but to remember Pat Hill, our friend who passed away wonderful mayor of Caneville and longtime influential resident for so many years and made such an impact on so many families and people in the area. And she fought so hard for so many years. And she's a special person for us to remember here as a neighbor in Sugar Grove, and just a wonderful person. So anytime you go past the Purple Store, you always think about her and drop in and, try to give them as much business as possible. But I know we'll all be remembering her for a long time.
Thanks, Scott. That's very well said. Tomorrow could be a busy day. If anybody hears anything, I think the right thing is call 911. Let's hope it's not. But and there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on. So anything we can do to put down any rumors, I think, is important. So please keep an eye and ear out and try to help out as much as possible in preventing a bunch of rumors from fueling a bunch of chaos. So, all right. If nobody else has anything else to say, you may get a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Okay.
Is that a second?
Second.
All right. All right. Roll call, Allison.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
All right. Be safe.
Night.